Hello everyone, this is the sixth lecture in DC to AC converters, and in this lecture I'll discuss about the current source inverter. So this is the single phase current source inverter circuit. So you can see here that we are again having four controllable switches, mostly IGBT switches, and we have to form the bridge, but we have to connect the diode in series with the switch to make it bidirectional voltage blocking to have bidirectional voltage blocking capabilities. Okay, unlike in voltage source inverter where we have connected anti-parallel diode so that the switch could be conducting in both the directions. Here the switch will block the voltage of both polarity, the positive polarity or negative polarity. Okay, so the number of component you can see in the HA bridge, it is the same. Okay, we have to use 4 controllable switch and 4 diodes. In addition to that, we have to connect one large value of inductance. Okay, so the input voltage actually is applied here, so the current here will become a constant if the L value is very high. Okay, so it behaves like a current source. Okay, so input will be like something current source. Like in voltage source inverter that we have seen that we were applying the voltage across the load, and the current were shaped according to the voltage applied to the load and depending on the nature of the load. Here we have to apply the current to the load, and the voltage will be shaped according to the current that is flowing through the load. Okay, so here you can see that if two switches are turned on in the same leg, there is no possibility of short circuit like in voltage source inverter. Okay, rather in modulation and control techniques you will see that in current source inverter the current is bypassed from the load by turning on two switches in the same leg. Okay, so here you can see one of the switch is here, another switch is here. So for some period of time these two switches are turned on together so that the current is bypassed and it is not going through the load. Okay, so that is called the bypass interval that we'll see in control technique for these switches. So there must be continuous current flow from the source side, because inductive currents it should never be uh, off. The switches must never be off. Okay, so that means there must be a continuity in the inductor current. Okay, it should not make it zero instantaneously. Okay, otherwise there will be high di by dt and the switches could get damaged. So two switches must always conduct, one from the upper and one from the lower switch. You'll find that this current will only be current will only be continuous if one of the switch from the upper half and one of the switch from the lower half. For example, if Q1 is turned on, so we can have Q4 or Q2 turned on. Okay. Similarly, if Q3 is turned on, again we have to have Q4 and Q2 turned on. So if Q1 is turned on and Q2 is turned on, the current will flow through the load. If Q1 is turned on, we have to turn on the Q4. So the current will bypass the load. Okay. So two switches must be conducting, one from the upper half and one from the lower half. Okay. So if the two switches, one upper and one lower, conduct at the same time such that the output current is plus minus IL, the switch state is 1. That means if the current is flowing through the load, we will call that state to be 1. If current is bypassing the load, then that state we will call as 0. The diode in series with the transistor are required to block the reverse voltage on the transistor. Okay. So gating sequence you can see if we are having so G1, this transistor is turned on for pi radian or half of the time period. Then G2, okay, we have to shift that for example here we have to shift that gate pulse of G1 by pi by 2. So if we shift this gate pulse by pi by 2, or depending on the desired magnitude of the current that is flowing through the load, we can shift that pulse. Okay, similarly G3 is starting from here, so these two switches actually not turning on together. Okay, otherwise both will be conducting and the current will circulate in this loop. So G4, so you can see here the if we want to find what will be the I naught, so once G1 and G2 is conducting, so we have to supply gate to these transistors, IGBTs Q1 and Q2. So in that case IL will be equal to I naught, or I naught will be equal to this IL value. Okay, similarly whenever you can see here G1 and G4 are conducting, we have to supply gate pulses here, and Q1 and Q4 are conducting. So in that case the current is bypassed. Okay, so the load current will be 0. So you can see here the load current is 0, then it is plus IL, then again it becomes 0 because G2 and G3 gate pulses are applied. So G2 you can see here, and G3 will be here. So the current is bypassing again to this load. So in that case also the current through this load will be 0. So you can see here this is the G3 and G4 gate pulses applied to the transistor Q3 and G3 and G2 gate pulses are applied to the transistor Q3 and Q2. Okay, again you can see from here that G3 and G4 gate pulses are applied. G3 and G4 signal are applied. You can see here G3 here and G4 here. So the current will pass like this, okay, through the load, but it will be in reverse direction. So I naught will be in that case minus IL. Okay, so we are getting this. So by changing the width of this pulse, actually we can change the magnitude of the current that is applied to the load. If you do the Fourier series analysis of this waveform, that is this quasi square waveform, okay, so you will find that I naught is given by, like we have done in voltage source inverters. Okay, so 4IL upon n pi, that will be the peak magnitude, multiply by sine n delta by 2. Delta will be the width of this pulse. Okay, sine n omega t. If delta is equal to pi, okay, if it is for half period, if it is for pi, then that will be actually 1. Okay, so this term will disappear. Then sine n omega t, so 4IL upon n pi sine n delta by 2 sine n omega t. So if you substitute n is equal to, again you see here that this output is having even wave symmetry. So positive half area will be equal to the negative half area. So that means every DC component will be 0, and there will be no even harmonics in the output waveform. So here we are having only odd harmonics. Okay, so if we substitute n is equal to 1, n is equal to 3, n is equal to 5, we will get the respective components of the current. So n is equal to 1 will give the fundamental component of the current. So 4IL upon pi sine n delta by 2, that will be the peak magnitude of the fundamental component, sine omega t. Okay, if we divide that component by root 2, we will get the RMS value of the fundamental component of the current. Okay, similar to that we have done in the voltage source inverters. Now again we can have three phase current source inverters. You can see here we are having 3 legs. So in each leg the switches are formed in such a way that it is conducting current in one direction and it is blocking the polarity of both the directions. Okay, and we are having a star connected load here. So this inductor is required. This is a very high value inductor. Okay, that will ensure that this IL is almost constant. Okay, if you want to change this, we have to change this input voltage. Okay, if you want to change the magnitude of IL, so we have to change the this value. Okay, this input voltage. So again you can see here we are having 120-degree conduction system. So each device is conducting for 120 degree. So again we are having 1, 3, 5, 4, 6, 2. These numberings are very important. So the gate pulses are applied in the sequence of these numbering. So G1 is applied for 120 degree. Then G2 is shifted by 60 degree, G3 again shifted by 60 degree, G4 again shifted by 60 degree, G5 and G6. Okay, so it will complete one switching period. It will complete one period. Okay, so based on the combinations, we can check what will be the load current. Okay, for example, if we want to find what will be IA, so IA will be positive when Q1 is conducting and and this Q6 is conducting or Q2 is conducting. So IA will come here, then it will flow like this if Q2 is conducting. Okay, so if Q1 and Q2 are conducting, you can see this interval, the IA is positive. So IA, you can see here, it is positive, or it is positive when Q1 is conducting and Q6 is conducting. So you can see here, Q6 is conducting and Q1 is conducting. So if you take this intersection, IA is positive. So in these two interval, actually IA is positive. Then you can see here the IA become negative. So neither Q1 nor Q4 is conducting in this interval. You can check here that G2 is applied, G3 is applied. Okay, so G2 and G3 are from the other legs. Okay, so no device is conducting from this first leg. Okay, that's why the current in this branch will be 0. Then next interval, you can see here, G3 is conducting, G4 is conducting. So G4 conducting means current IA now will reverse the direction. So IA current will flow something like this, okay, in negative direction. And you can see G4 is conducting, G4 is applied and G3 is applied. Okay, if G3 is applied, so IB will be positive. Okay, but IA will be minus of, okay, minus IL. So you can see here that IA is minus IL. So similarly you can form the waveform. Now once you find the IA, IB will be shifted by 120 degree from IA. So shift this waveform in forward direction by an angle of 120 degree. Similarly, IC, it will be shifted by 120 degree from IB. Okay. Now you shift it, you will get the IC current waveform. Okay. Now again, doing the Fourier series analysis, like we have done in the 120 degree conduction for 3 phase voltage source inverter. In this case, you will find the current expression. Okay, so this is for IL upon n pi sin n pi by 2 sin n pi by 3 sin n omega t plus pi by 6. If you remember, just apply the Fourier series analysis in this waveform. If you apply the Fourier series analysis in this waveform, you will get this expression. Okay. Similarly, this is star connected load. So you can find the phase current and all those things. Okay. The PWM technique can be applied to vary the load current and to improve the quality of a CSI inverter. The CSI is a dual of VSI. The line to line voltage of VSI is similar in shape to the line current of a CSI. So here whatever the current waveform you are getting, it is similar to that of the voltage waveform of the VSI. Now there are certain advantages of CSI. Since the input DC current is controlled and limited, misfiring of switching devices or a short circuit would not be serious problem. The peak current of power devices is limited because you are controlling the current. The commutation circuits for thyristors are simple. It has the ability to handle reactive or regenerative load without freewheeling diodes. A CSI requires a relatively large reactor, so this is the disadvantage part because it is requiring a large inductor to exhibit the current source characteristics and an extra converter stage to control the current. The dynamic response is slower in case of CSI. In drives application, you have to have high dynamic response. Okay. Now, due to transfer function from one pair of switches to another, an input filter is required to suppress the output voltage spikes. So this ends our discussion on DC to AC converters. Okay. From next lecture onwards, I will discuss about the AC to AC converters. Okay, thank you.